Hello out there in YouTube land. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for dropping by on what is Sunday evening, late Sunday evening when I'm recording this. Cheers. Hope you're enjoying a nice cool beverage on a nice warm evening. Anyway, folks, brings us here today. I'm going back to something I started very early on in this channel. Way back when I started this channel, I wanted to do episodes recommending my favorite podcast. I love podcasts. I think they're the greatest medium ever made. And I only ever made one video like that so far because that was like when I just started this channel. I was still figuring out BookTube and YouTube and how to make this work for me. So I figured it out. And now that it's the most fun I've ever had with the hobby, we're going to go back to my original intention for this channel and start recommending some podcasts and specifically individual episodes for you. So right off the bat, there's a podcast called Tetragrammaton, which is hosted by a man whose name has popped up quite often here on BookTube in the last couple of years, Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin is a legendary music producer. This guy has worked with, in the early days he was working with the rap trio Run DMC. He worked with Tom Petty, like Slayer, the thrash metal band. He did the last 5 albums of Johnny Cash. Like the guy's just like a very zen like guru. Like he sits with the artist, studies them. He figures out how to bring out the best in them, and the work speaks for itself. The guy's absolutely amazing. So it was no doubt in my mind that when he announced that he was going to start this podcast, Tetragrammaton, I knew he would be an incredible host and an incredible conversationalist. Rick Rubin, he interviews a lot of interesting people too. Like he's had on some guests that you don't see in most places. Like he has on different entrepreneurs, like art people or just different business people, and even like some like medical scientists. Like one guy was the most recent interviews he did. This guy, he does like incredible like healing, like almost like meditations with his patients and like the stuff that like he has like this intense like meditative or whatever the word is. He has these intense sessions with his patients and like these like kind of miraculous things happen. Like parts of them are like healing that you never see anywhere else. Like really interesting interviews. Anyway, so one of the more recent interviews he did was with the television creator Chris Carter, and you see in the thumbnail, so you know where I'm going with this. Chris Carter's biggest success, hands down, was the show called The X-Files. The X-Files back in like the early 90s to the early 2000s, about like these 2 FBI agents. They encounter, alien conspiracies and all this weird stuff going on. The truth is out there. The government doesn't want you to know, all that good old science fiction stuff. So, yeah, and funny, even as a kid, I loved The X-Files, but I didn't watch it religiously. But I'm kind of watching it now more as an adult because I have YouTube TV, and if we plug YouTube TV, maybe YouTube will give me some more viewers my way. So anyway, YouTube TV, the wonderful service that it is, I had to try. Anyway, they'll probably block me tomorrow. Anyway, so on YouTube TV, there's a channel called Comet, which shows like a lot of shows that like us millennials and Gen Xers grew up with. Which, by the way, remember when you used to make fun of those channels that showed all the shows that your parents watched? Well, now they're aimed at us, folks. And I gotta tell you, it's awesome. I like watching these old shows that I saw back in the day. So yeah, so like YouTube TV, you got like unlimited DVR. They show the X-Files like a few episodes each night. So I think I pretty much have every episode of the X-Files DVR'd. And it's there for a year. It's there at my own viewing pleasure. So there you go. So I'm having a lot of fun on the X-Files. And of course, so this interview between Rick Rubin and Chris Carter was very interesting. Obviously, they talked about the show and his career. And then toward the end of the interview, Rick Rubin asks these different questions, like about the show. Like, oh, is it true that this happened? Is it true that you had this idea? Those type of questions. Which brings us to the topic of discussion for this video. The story and the legend that is Season 4, Episode 2. It's an episode called Home. I tell you, everything about this episode, before they even talked about what the episode was about, just the story of it like blew my mind, and I had to know more. Because first of all, the episode, as Chris Carter said, it originally aired back in 1996. Like I said, season 4, episode 2, aired back in 1996, and it's never been aired since. So that's a pretty bold statement. So I even checked like my DVR, because when they show the episodes, they're in chronological order. So I go to season 4, check, and I'll be damned. Episode 1, episode 3. Episode 2 is nowhere to be found. Indeed, it has never aired. Think for a second, like, why this is sticking with me so much. I hope I get this point across clearly for everybody. You usually hear that with shows, like you have an episode back in the day it wasn't allowed to air, and then like a few years later, then they air it and everything's fine now. But this really like threw me for a loop, because like it aired, and then it was never re-aired again. I'm thinking, look at all the crazy stuff people watch these days, like the sick, grotesque stuff that you see on television, or the movies especially, but you can still see some pretty gross stuff on television. Look at this episode, like how bad could this episode have been that it was buried and never re-aired since 1996? I mean, that's pretty incredible. So I had to go find this episode, which was easy to find. You go to like any like digital streaming platform that sells, the shows and whatnot. You can buy individual episodes of shows for like $2. I bought season 4, episode 2, the episode that is called Home. So yeah, I'm recording this video, folks. I just finished episode 2 of season 4, and I gotta be honest with you, I completely understand why it was buried after all these years. Like, there's a lot of gross stuff out there. Then even it's refreshing to know that some things are still taboo, and this episode, like I said, it came out in 1996. I can understand. First, like I said before, I couldn't understand how could this episode have aired and then be buried after all this time. Well, after seeing it now, I can understand why it aired, because it was the mid 90s. The 90s were like the extreme time. Like extreme was like the key word at the time. So I can understand what, like, in no other time period could this episode air. The mid 90s, when people are just pushing the boundaries, getting more and more excessive with things, the subject matter, I completely understand why this was aired. And I completely understand why it's never been seen since. A couple more things I want to get up. First of all, the subject matter. And once again, this is not a spoiler. They tell us right in the very beginning, so this is just the setup. And to me, like the setup is not a spoiler. I mean, this is what I would tell you to intrigue you to watch the show. The setup, it involves a family of inbreds. Oh, God. Sweet Lord. It gets even worse. Just the subject matter alone is horrifying to hear about. It's just gross. And okay, I'll leave it at that. It's just gross. So it's a really well made episode, but yeah, very taboo, and I understand why completely. So now that I got that out of the way, once I saw the episode, as soon as the episode started, I see the opening scene. I had a flashback, actually. I remember this. I remember very vividly, like it was in the back of my brain. I forgot all about this, but I had seen this episode. Or at least I saw the opening scene. I remember as a little kid, it scared the hell out of me. You see like what goes on at the beginning, and then like, remember this one scene, like you see like these boys, they're playing baseball out in the field, and the ball goes onto the property of the inbred family. And like the boys go like, where's the ball? So like, it went on their property, and all the boys know, they just sit there like horrified. Like, because nobody wants to go near that property, and the kid's like, it's okay, I got another ball, we'll just keep going. And my lord, this episode was something. Like I said, I understand why in the 90s they pushed this boundary, and I understand why it's never been seen since. Correction, never been aired since. One thing I have to mention too, like I mentioned how like I had flashbacks to what I actually saw this as a kid. Like I never saw the whole episode. Like I said, like the beginning scared the hell out of me. I turned it off. I think it was '96. So yeah, God, I was 8 years old. I remember, like the kids at school, like the parents too, like oh my God, did you see this? Like nobody was. I remember the parents, like nobody was like boycotting it or complaining or anything like that. They were just like, holy crap, did you see that? Like it was the talk of the town. My God. So anyway, yeah, if you ever, it's worth the $2, folks, because that's the only, unless you have the DVD maybe or Blu-ray set you already have. But yeah, it's definitely worth the $2 to see it. Like personally, I bought it on is the app called Fandango at Home. It used to be called Vudu, like VUDU. That's where I used to get like my digital purchases from. So yeah, $2. It's worth. It's definitely worth seeing it, folks, because that's the only way you're gonna see it. Let's wrap that up, folks. So yeah, so yeah, Rick Rubin, you get his Tetragrammaton. You get it wherever you get your podcasts. The thing, they probably have it here on YouTube. If I find the episode, I will put it in the description box down below for everybody. Until then, folks, hope you all enjoyed my new little side videos here. Cheers again. Oh boy. I've let's see. Yeah, I got a couple more books to read. Got to wrap up the summer sport, and for the second time, I'm going to be participating in Shaktember, where we read Shakespeare in September. Looking forward to that. Well, that's my mail up there on the shelf, but behind the shelf you can't see out of sight. I got a couple of selections of Shakespeare to read. Looking very much forward to that. So, until next time, everyone, take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, because I'm not, because I won't be able to sleep after watching after watching Home. Okay. Wish me luck, everyone. Have a good one.